the employees, and I love to see, I don't love to see it because it's the same thing every time. When somebody starts a job for the first time and they get their paycheck and they're like, what's this money that goes out? How come I didn't get my full money? And all this money is going out to taxes, right? So they pay a lot in taxes. The self-employed person probably gets hit the hardest. The ones with the small business, and they're the more the professionals, the doctors, the lawyers, the consultants, the shop owners. They get hit the hardest. And then you have the business owners. They have tax advantage, as do investors have tax advantages. So very simple. If taxes are, people say, they don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. But the tax laws are written to give you incentives to do things that the government doesn't want to do. So for example, the government doesn't want to provide a lot of housing. So by getting into real estate and being a landlord and having tenants, you're doing the job that the government doesn't want to do. So the government gives you incentives, meaning tax breaks, to provide that. The government doesn't want to, be in the energy business. So if you invest in oil and gas, in the wells and things, not the stock so much, but in actual production, the government gives you a tax incentive to do that. So it's not that, and just by starting a small business, you already immediately get tax breaks because you're providing a service that the government isn't necessarily going to be involved in. So by starting a small business, a part-time business, if you just did that, start a part-time business, you will get tax breaks for doing that. If you buy real estate, you'll get tax breaks for doing that. So one of the reasons Robert and I pay so little in taxes is we're doing things that the government doesn't want to do, and we're providing services, we're providing housing, we're providing energy, and that kind of relieves the government from having to do that. Now, unless things change and the government wants to do everything, that's another world. But the more that you take charge of your money and charge of your life and invest and start businesses, that will give you major tax breaks and major tax incentives.
So I guess now I'm look back and I go, okay, if I was actually smarter, what I would have done is before the end of the year, I would have taken all the money that I was going to pay in taxes, and maybe instead of if I knew more about real estate, for instance, I could have taken the profits in November, for instance, and then I went out and bought like a cash flow rental unit or something. Is that example of when you're getting to the bigger levels of, is that like what I would do if I was trying to really get to the next level of passive income, but also lowering my tax burden and making my money work even more for me?
Yeah, that's a really good example, Jay, because yes, you can take the money, because and most people don't even pay attention to what their taxes are until it's too late. So that's why tax preparing is really, really important to see where you're going to go. But yeah, if all of a sudden you're facing a big tax bill coming up in 6 months' time, yes, go out there and buy a property, buy a single family rental house, buy a duplex, because and there's our dear friend and our investing partner, Ken McElroy. He's also a Rich Dad advisor. He has the ABC estate and the ABCs of property management. 2 books alone, that's how Robert and I think. And that's how we started investing. And we hooked up with Kenny because we had the philosophy, which is all about cash flow. So to give you an example, I have 2 women that I know, and their parents passed away. And they had a real estate investment that was giving them great cash flow every month. So the 2 girls, being the daughters who knew nothing about money, first thing they wanted to do was sell it. And I'm like, whoa. You have no money and you're going to sell it, and then you're going to spend it all and be left with nothing. Or you can keep that property and let it cash flow, and every month you're going to get a nice little check. And so I think I've talked him into that, but I'm not sure. But so many people want to, if they inherit something like that, they want to sell the property and spend the money. And that goes back to the mindset of thinking about, if you have a poor mentality, it's get the money, make the money, spend the money, make the money, spend the money. But if you can change your focus to how do I have my money make money for me, and for that, it's about acquiring assets such as real estate. But anybody today, and there's ways to do this. As I said, when I started, I didn't have any money to buy these properties. I had to get very, very creative. But if you go out there and start looking, and I'm telling you, there will be a lot of opportunity coming up right now because people are not able to make their mortgages. And I know they've kind of trying to put things on hold with that, which I think is a good idea. I really do think for the next few months, they should just put a pause on all mortgages and all rents and let people, kind of retool. But there are going to be opportunities, and real estate is a great way to not pay taxes, to basically get incentives so you do not have to pay taxes. What would you rather do? Pay taxes to the government or own a rental piece of real estate? That rental piece of real estate will stay with you as long as you want. And I'll tell you, every single investor, real estate investor I've talked to, myself, Ken McElroy, everybody, we wish we had kept every single property we've ever owned, but we didn't. But we're doing okay. But again, right now, people are like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy rental property because the tenants they can't pay the rent." True, but there's no reason why you can't start looking now. Go out there, start looking now. Go drive around the street, start making phone calls. Just start learning. And the other thing too, Jake, is start that part-time business. That part-time business can give you tax incentives as well. And it can be as simple as, I have a friend that I know that she loved designer handbags. And her friends would borrow her designer handbag out on a fancy occasion. And she had this bright idea. What if I just started renting out my designer handbags? And she did online. And look at today, everybody out everything, right? What do you have maybe that you could rent out, including, like you said, the gym equipment? What do you have that you could rent out that other people need and want? It might be right in front of your eyes and you're just not seeing it.